But I was actually watching that fight thinking I wouldn't be surprised if he retired and actually didn't fight Crawford, because I don't think he'll want to lose to Crawford, a much smaller guy, just because he's at the end of the...
Canelo retiring? Eddie Hearn just dropped a bombshell that's got the entire boxing world in shock. And if what he's saying is true, the mega fight with Terence Crawford is officially off the table. Out of nowhere, Hearn hit fans with the cold truth. Canelo is ready to hang up his gloves. He might not have any fights left in him, and Crawford isn't even being considered. No negotiations, no calls, not even the slightest interest. Just like that, the dream matchup everyone's been begging for might be dead in the water.
To be honest, I'd be very surprised if that fight happens. I think His Excellency has been pushing that fight. It didn't seem like it was something that Canelo was really up for, to be honest. And like, when I've spoken to Canelo before about that fight, I think he's kind of feeling is, when I beat Crawford, everyone's going to say I've beaten a 154-pounder. Like, and he also, I think, at his age as well, I don't think he wants to be fighting guys that are just moving all the time, and he wants people to come to fight. And Crawford can't really come to fight like that in that fight because he's at a massive size disadvantage, and he can't be standing in front of him. I don't think that fight will happen. But then when you think about it, like what are the options for Canelo Alvarez?
Benavides.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen either. He's put his flag in the sand, hasn't he? 150 million. I know he takes less, but I just don't see that. He's now up at 175, Benavides. I don't see him coming back to 68.
And it gets worse. Insiders are saying that Canelo has been privately hinting at retirement after one last big payday. The back-to-back fights, brutal weight cuts, and constant pressure have taken their toll. He's tired. Apparently, he's done giving fans the fights they want. Now, he's only chasing what he wants. So what does this mean for Terence Crawford? Why is Eddie Hearn pouring cold water on what could have been the biggest fight in boxing? Is Canelo ducking Crawford? Or is this just smart business? Let's break it down. 4 years, Canelo Alvarez was that guy, fighting 3 times a year, chasing greatness across multiple weight divisions, and becoming the undisputed face of modern boxing. But lately, something's changed. After easily defeating William Skull in a low-risk, one-sided bout, it feels like Canelo's career has shifted into cruise control, and now, with zero interest in a mega fight against Terence Crawford, fans are starting to ask, is Canelo retiring soon?
If it isn't Canelo next year, are you done from the sport, Terence?
I wouldn't say that. Right now, I'm just weighing out my options and looking for the best opportunities and options for Terence Crawford in my career. Everybody got answers that need to be answered, and the only way they can be answered is if me and Canelo is in the ring and we fight. So if that fight does happen, then everybody answers that and questions and do's and don'ts will be.
Eddie Hearn, the man who helped guide Canelo through multiple blockbuster bouts, just dropped another bombshell. Not by officially announcing Canelo's retirement, but by admitting that the Crawford fight is dead, and maybe it was never close to real in the first place. In a recent interview, Hearn opened up about a variety of matchups. Shakur, Bolonga,
Terence
Teofimo.
Crawford, with that
But when the
intense
topic
gaze of
turned
his,
Canelo,
throws
his
down the
honesty was
gauntlet at
brutal.
Gervonta
We got
Tank
to a
Davis.
stage, I
It
think
was
we did
pure
7 weight
fireworks.
fights with Canelo,
Crawford didn't
and then
waste
we
a
ran
breath.
out of options. Hearn said, he asked, "What do you got for me?" I said, "The Bivol rematch." That's it. Let's be clear. This is Eddie Hearn, Canelo's biggest international promoter, admitting that the only fight left was the one Canelo refuses to take.
I don't think it's a fight Canelo really wants, if I'm honest, because I think he feels like he won't get a lot of credit beating a light middleweight. And Crawford's going to move a lot in that fight, which is not ideal for Canelo. But what's his options? I mean, if Bivol wins, he could fight him for undisputed. That's a very tough fight. What's the other options? Benavides is up at 175. Obviously, His Excellency wants to make that fight, so guess we could see it next.
So no Crawford, no Benavides, no Beterbiev. Just a rematch with a guy who already embarrassed him, Dmitry Bivol. And what did Canelo do? He left. Straight to PBC.no bad blood. No public fallout. But in this case, the silence speaks volumes. Now, let's address the elephant in the ring, Terence Crawford.
Bud Crawford, just won his debut at 154. Said if the money's right, we'll fight.
everybody wants that fight. What do you feel about that matchup? People saying the weight, all this stuff. How do you feel about that?
You know, everybody wants to fight me. Everybody calling me out and everything. And you know, like I say, I have nothing to win with Crawford. You know, 2-3 weights class less than me. But if the money is right, why not? Right? Why not? But look, I'm focused 100% on Berlanga. I know I have a challenge in front. I never overlook any fighter. So I'm focused 100% in this, and then we'll see.
Dream fight with Canelo is dead, and here's what makes it even worse. Crawford wanted that fight, thought he was begging for it, but after taking care of William Skull, Canelo went quiet, completely ghosted the NO response. No interest. No fight.
When you say, I want Canelo, is there anybody in the camp that would say, you're not ready for this?
That's a big boy. He's strong. That's a conversation. It's not just, oh man, you will whoop his ass. Like
yes,
that.
man type stuff.
I'm not worried about Canelo. I'm not thinking about Canelo. I'm just focused on Israel Majimov.
In a small way, is this a stepping stone to your dream fight?
I don't look at fights as stepping stones. It's about now.
So now fans are left asking, ID Canelo just ducked Terence Bud Crawford? Is this all part of a slow, silent retirement? Let's be real. Canelo is not scared of anyone, but he is strategic, and at this stage of his career, legacy might be taking a backseat to control.
How is Crawford going to be able to bridge this weight gap?
Yeah, I don't think he can, in all honesty. I mean, he might not be able to bridge it on Saturday.
Yeah.
So,
one weight class.
68, yeah, but you're coming up from 35. 35, 40, 47, 54. Sooner or later, it's one too many. And 68 is definitely too many. But Crawford's brilliant. Like, he's a genius. He's a generational great. So maybe he can find a way to do it. But I feel he'd be hugely outsized against Canelo Alvarez. Yeah. But you have to use your movement if you're Terence Crawford in that fight. The last thing you want to do is stand and trade. He'd be moving a lot in that fight, trust me. I'm not saying he'd be running, but he would be moving a lot. Of course, that's the way to beat him.
Yeah.
You know.
Think about it. He's 34 years old, has made hundreds of millions, is the undisputed champion at super middleweight, though he doesn't need to take risks anymore. Fighting Crawford would mean putting everything on the line point one bad night, and suddenly the legend takes a hit. And let's not forget, he's already lost to a smaller guy in Dmitry Bivol.
It's the self-belief. Like Crawford, I can't tell you how much belief Crawford has. I spent the weekend with him out there, we was on the plane together. He has no doubt in his mind that he beats Canelo, and he does it easy, right? And Shakur has so much self-belief, zero doubt. And it's not like a complacency either. It's just like, I know exactly what they're going to do, and I know exactly what I'm going to do.
Even Eddie Hearn admitted that when they offered Canelo a Bivol rematch, Canelo said, nah, so what does that tell you? If he won't run it back with Bivol, the man who already beat him, and he won't take on a fresh challenge in Crawford, then yeah, retirement might be closer than anyone thought.
What is it you want your legacy to be after that last match?
One of the best in the history of boxing.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna cry that day.
That day?
Yeah, a lot.
Why?
Because I'm gonna miss boxing so
You'll miss
much.
it. Yeah.
That moment when you walk into the ring and hear all the people screaming and singing that song you put and everything, I'm gonna miss that moment.
But here's the twist. Eddie Hearn also hinted that the game has completely changed. Why? Because of the Saudis, just like they've done with Tyson Fury, and now Teofimo versus Boots Ennis. The money, and more important, the control, is now coming from Riyadh. Eddie basically said if they got the bag, the fights happen. If they don't, everything slows down. Boxing is going through a global shift. New territories are investing big money, and the sport is evolving. So maybe this isn't just about Canelo ducking. Maybe the Saudis never wanted Crawford versus Canelo. Maybe the real reason the fight didn't happen has more to do with politics, networks, and a global power shift calling the shots.
Are we going to see Terence Crawford versus Canelo?
As I tell before to the ESPN, I give him the offer. If he's smart, he will accept it.
So just so we're clear, so everyone understands, you've already sent an offer to Canelo to fight Terence Crawford if Terence Crawford wins tonight.
But if he doesn't, I want Ortiz.
You want Ortiz? Virgil Ortiz versus Terence Crawford.
Yeah, if they accept, we want to see this fight, and I want to see Shakur Zubaydah.
Shakur Stevenson is here as well.
He accept, De La Hoya accept, Eddie accept. Let's do it.
Let's do the big fights. You've done so many big fights.
Canelo used to be the boss, but now he might be getting boxed out of the very business he once ruled.
Terence Crawford, his name keeps coming up, and I know he's a lot smaller than you. Is that a fight that you would ever consider under any circumstance?
You know, I always say if the fight make sense, why not? But he's not in the plan.
He's not in the plan? Okay. Is there a specific reason for it? Is it because of his size, or it won't do anything for you in terms of pushing you toward your goals?
You know, like I say, if it makes sense, maybe. I don't know right now. I just gonna enjoy this fight.
And don't forget another major reason this fight has always been tricky, the weight difference. This isn't about a few pounds. Crawford is a natural welterweight who dominated at 147 and recently moved up to 154. Canelo, on the other hand, has been sitting comfortably at 168 and has even gone as high as 175. That's a 20 to 30 pound gap between where both fighters feel strongest. And in boxing, that's not just size, that's power, durability, and risk.